as much fun as we've been having, it'll be nice to get home and sleep in our own beds again. I have no idea what day it is. Hi, we're at Tomorrowland in Walt Disney World, and when I was about her age, I came here with my grandparents and my cousins and all our families, and I was really into space and wanted to be an astronaut and everything. But Tomorrowland really had an incredibly cool vision for the future, what the future could be. And it seemed like, well, sure, top people are working on this. We should have this in a few years, and we'll be there in no time. But that didn't really happen. It just seemed like we stalled out and went with the status quo for about 30 years. And now finally we're starting to see some of those things. There used to be a theater, I believe in the building right here, with a circular screen in the ceiling and a circular screen on the floor. And you could simulate a trip around the moon. And SpaceX is actually working on something like that, which is just awesome. All these visions of future cities, they're all clean and efficient, and everything's quiet and smooth and cool. We didn't know what that fuel type would be, but now it's looking pretty clear that it's going to be lithium-ion or the next generation of battery technology. So now 30 years after I first came here, it's exciting to see some of these things actually coming true. Now Tomorrowland has changed a lot, but as far as like the vision of the future, they haven't really changed it much. And so I want to see, where we are now, what's coming up. What's our vision for tomorrow? What's that next Tomorrowland going to look like? Good morning, it's Friday, February 7th, and we are just leaving Orlando. We're leaving the Malia Hotel, which was fantastic. Really close to Walt Disney World. Easy drive in. It was actually way faster to drive the car than to take the shuttle. So after day one, we just did that. Had 2 more days there and really enjoyed our time. And here at the Malia Hotel, they actually have a charge point station with 2 outlets, so that was really handy. I was thinking we'd have to top off at a Supercharger before we got going too far today, but I was able to top off to 80%, so that's more than enough to get us to another stop and save us that extra Supercharger stop. So the game plan was to leave at checkout time this morning, but even though Joan's been exhausted the last couple days from Disney and hard to get up when we were going there, this morning, like at home, she knew we were getting on the road and so decided to wake up at about 4 in the morning, 4:30 maybe. I got her to go back to bed a couple times, but then by 6:30 she was up and at 'em. Right now it's about 20 to 9 and we've got everything packed up. Just got to buckle her in and then we'll get on the road. The plan for tonight and tomorrow night is to sleep in the car. We'll try to find an ideal location to do that, as ideal as we can find. And I haven't really looked ahead too much other than the initial planning I did, so I'm going to just follow that. As we go, as we're at charge stops, I will give a little more thought to where we're going next and how much charge we need, especially if the weather turns bad through the mountains or something. So that's all yet to come. We've been working through that Frunkful of diapers, and we're about to leave Orlando with a few diapers more. We're just about to leave Ocala, Florida. This is our first stop. The sun is finally coming out. It's still pretty windy out. We only needed about 15 minutes here, but it seemed like a good stop to get breakfast. Between that and diaper changes, it took us quite a while. So now it's almost 11:30 and we're gonna get on the road and try to make better time. Not that we're in a huge rush, but I don't want to be stopping for this long every time, especially when we don't need to. So time to get her strapped in and get going. We are in Lake City, Florida. Just needed a quick top up here before heading into Georgia. We're at a 6-stall Supercharger, kind of by a little strip mall. There's a few different restaurants and things. I was kind of hoping for a convenience store. We could use some more wipes just to be on the safe side. Maybe that'll be at the next stop. We're doing well, making good time, and heading north. And next stop will be Georgia. We stopped into the Firehouse Subs, and Joan got a new hat as a free gift, so that was pretty exciting. Joan, can you show off your new hat? It's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool hat. She's a real firefighter. Alright, now that we have our blueberry situation sorted out, we are in Tifton, Georgia. It's still quite windy, but the sun has come out. It's nice and sunny, but outside it's cool and windy. So far the trip is going well, but we had a little bit of an issue coming into town. I don't have the navigation feature on this Tesla because it's older and before that was standard. So I've just been using the Apple Maps app to get us to each Supercharger. And so far I haven't had an issue with that, but this one actually took me like 2.5 miles away from the highway to the wrong location. I had to look it up in the map in the car to look up where it really was and then drive to it that way. A little odd, I don't know why that is, but there was definitely not a Supercharger where it took us. The real one is right behind a Starbucks and a Ruby Tuesday. There's a Wendy's across the way. Yeah, an Olive Garden as well. So there's some things around here, and not a bad stop once you find it. But we are charged up and ready to head on to Macon, Georgia. We'll see you there. Well, we got an extra case of the sillies here. We're about to leave Macon, Georgia. Thought we'd go with something safe and normal like nuggets. So we're heading down to McDonald's, quite a hike. It was not worth it. They were not good. So hopefully they were okay, just didn't taste great. Because of the long walk, we only needed to get to 63%, but made it to, now it's 84, but we're gonna unplug and get going here. Hopefully tonight we can make it to at least the stop before Nashville. It sounds like there's a storm coming for Sunday morning in Minnesota, so it'd be nice to beat that, but I also don't want to kill us by trying to drive too many hours in the day. So we're gonna just kind of play that by ear and hope for the best. So on to Atlanta. North of Atlanta in Acworth, Georgia. And our next stop is 2 hours and 24 minutes away in Tennessee. You'll notice in the photos of the dash here that I'm not getting a readout on or what's been going on since my last charge. I'm gonna try a couple things, try to reset that so we're getting that. I'm still getting the odometer ticking over, but I don't know if anything else is updating. So also my energy graph isn't showing any change since before Macon for sure. So I'm gonna try to get that sorted out. Would love to have that working again, just to look through the numbers later. We need a pretty full charge here. It's 36 degrees outside, so much colder than I expected. And I would guess as we go up in elevation, it's gonna get colder. We've had to kind of bring out the warm clothes a little sooner than expected. Getting charged to about 90% here, and then maybe taper the speed down a little bit just to be safe. But we'll be on our way in a couple minutes, and hopefully Joan will get some sleep on this leg, because it'll probably be close to 11:30 by the time we get there. This may be the last one for the night, but we'll see how things go. The Manchester, Tennessee Supercharger is behind a Dunkin' Donuts, and with the hill to the back of it, it made a good place to use camper mode. I got Joan situated while we charged. Then when we got to 90%, I moved the car to a spot in the corner of the lot. This location is right on the edge of the time zones though, and the car and my phone couldn't agree. That confusion probably led me to get up an hour earlier than I'd planned. But after 4 hours of sleep, I moved a grumpy Joan back into the car seat, and we were off for Nashville. We're at our first stop for the morning in Nashville. Did camper mode last night. Our physical arrangement was a little better. We kind of went backwards, and she had her little nook, and I had more space, so that worked out well. We just used the restroom here in the Kroger. It's open 24 hours. This is probably a nice little spot when things are open, but at 5:30 on a Saturday morning, there's not much going on. I think the next stop is in Kentucky. We are in Kentucky, Katawa, I'm not sure how you say it, but Joan is in the car mining for dried blueberries. She's face down in the snack bin, so she may be purple when I get in there. It's a beautiful morning here. It seems a little warmer. Last night was pretty cold. This is stop 8 since we left Orlando. We're really pushing on. I was hoping to have a little more leisure time, but I don't want to get stuck in the snow and be driving through a huge storm at the end of the trip. But there is a pretty big lake here that looks like there's some nature areas and stuff around that would have been fun to check out. I'm sure we probably passed the Appalachian Trail at some point. I wanted to stop wherever we cross that and just kind of check out, even if it's just 50 yards down it, just to say we saw it, but that'll have to be for next time. Our next stop is in Illinois, and we're making relatively good time. Hopefully can make it back tonight. We'll see if I have the gumption to keep it going that long, but the caffeine is flowing, and we're gonna try to do stops as quickly as we can. Joan's holding together remarkably well, although I don't know once she has all these snacks she's digging into how she's going to react, but for right now we're doing well. But it's time to get her packed up and get back on the road. We're in Mount Vernon, Illinois. It is about 32 degrees here. We just barely made it with 4% because it's colder and windier than I expected. One thing about supercharging quick and then getting on the road and doing long days like this where you're drinking a lot of caffeine is your bladder can hardly make it between stops. I know a lot of people are like, I need to have 400, 500 miles of range. Well, I don't know if your bladder's going to be able to handle that on long days like this, but that might be too much information, but that's where we are. We're in southern Illinois. We're going to skirt around Chicago into Wisconsin and hopefully beat that storm. We're on the move. We're now in Effingham, Illinois. You can see it's beginning to snow pretty good here. Nothing's really sticking yet, but this doesn't bode real well. But we're going to do our best to get through it. So far the roads have been dry and normal. Joan is raiding the snack box again. Hopefully none of the highways will be closed and we can push through and still make good time today. On the upside, the car just passed 100,000 miles, 100,002 miles. So that's exciting. We've driven about 46,000 of those miles, and it's been fantastic so far, and still driving like a champ. It's getting really, really filthy inside and out, so it'll be good to clean this up next week. This is a nice stop. It's got a Holiday Inn, Chipotle across the street, Panda Express, Hampton Inn and Suites, a Comfort Inn, I believe, too. Walmart's not far away, Chili's. So it's not a bad stop, but we're trying to get out of here as soon as possible. So we'll see you in Normal, Illinois. Normal, Illinois. This is stop number 11. It's in a transit station parking garage. Pretty out of the way from the highway we were going up, but I bet it's closer to the cross highway. Haven't actually looked that closely into it, but we were able to find it okay. There's a Subway downstairs, so we just had a little bite to eat. We're in Rockford, Illinois, and Joan is just fit to be tied. She's very excited. Maybe she knows we're almost home. Next stop will be Wisconsin, then I think 2 more stops and then home. We're getting there. Hopefully we'll beat that weather. Joan wasn't the only one ready to be done. It was at this point that the GoPro stopped working. With our long Rockford stop to have dinner, we were able to skip Madison, Wisconsin and make it all the way to Mauston. This is a nice little spot behind a Culver's restaurant that was still open, so we were able to use the restrooms and load up on ice cream. Although the weather had cleared in northern Illinois, there were road signs in Wisconsin warning that a storm was expected by 3 a.m. I took advantage of the secluded location of the Eau Claire Supercharger to lean back and sleep a little before our final push. As we drove into Minnesota and near home, the roads were still clear and there was no sign of new snow. We pulled in the driveway at 1 a.m. after 4,129 total miles. Joan was very excited to be home and see her mom, but she crashed pretty quick when she got in her bed. I unloaded the essentials from the car, showered, and got to bed around 2 a.m. Happy to be in my own bed and grateful that we made it home safely. At 9 a.m., I woke up to 6 inches of new snow on the ground. As I sat watching it fall, I thought about what worked, what didn't, and the big takeaways from the trip. I'll cover those and answer the question, why would you do this to yourself and your family? Next time with A Few Diapers More.